So now, without further ado, we are here to celebrate George Brown for Too Hot, Kool and the Gang, and Me. George grew up around music and at a young age was inspired to piece together a makeshift drum set to teach himself how to play, and he practiced in his dark, dank basement of his New Jersey row house. He soon joined forces with some teenage friends to form the group called the Jazziacs, which then evolved into Kool and the Gang. By evolving their sound as musical tastes changed, the band stayed on the charts for decades, scoring 12 top 10 hits in funk, R&B, pop, and rock, and selling over 70 million albums, while navigating the highs and lows of their career. In Too Hot, drummer, keyboardist, and primary songwriter George Brown describes life in and out of the band, including a raucous life on the road as the band's popularity grew. He weathered the ups and downs of his musical career and navigated many changes, including prescription drug addiction, depression, and health issues. George shares how his recent cancer scare and subsequent treatment compelled him to share his story, warts and all, to give readers a glimpse into a band whose reputation was considered relatively tame, but in reality was extremely the opposite. Brown will be in conversation with DJ Lance Reynolds, who has opened for greats such as George Clinton and the Parliament Funkadelic, Bootsy Collins, Kamasi Washington, Living Colour, Roy Ayers, and just a host of others. He's been on stages and venues such as the Kennedy Center, Constitution Hall, the Howard Theater, 930 Club, among others. He also has a background in radio. He was the former host of The Flow on Sirius XM and currently hosts the House of Soul on Pacifica Radio's WPFW here in DC, as well as a show on Twitch called The Sunrise Light Show. And so now, without further ado, please join me in welcoming to Politics and Prose, George Brown and DJ Lance Reynolds.
Two. How's everybody doing? Wonderful, wonderful. Really happy to be here this evening speaking to a legendary figure, George Brown. Can we give him another round of applause?
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Yes, because we felt like we were part of the band. Kool and the Gang, we all felt like we were part of the gang. Is this not true? Yes, we did. The songs that they performed and produced were songs of the soundtrack of our lives. So just a moment ago, they said 70 million records sold, which is absolutely amazing to imagine. 70 million of anything, much less 70 million.
Hello, Cola.
Right, records sold. And so I took some time to read the book, and it is a fascinating journey that you've been on over from 1969 to start the group, the first release of the group. Of course, you started prior to that, gaining chops, learning how to do what it is you do as a drummer. But modern day, we're talking about his history in 1969, but we're talking about a hit record that just came out just a few weeks ago that had 3 million streams today.
Absolutely.
Literally today. So we're amazed at what you've been able to do with your career. And through this book, I got a glimpse into your journey. And I don't want to ask you the same old questions. I want you to be able to, talk to us about this book and how, the process of writing it. But there's a strong thread through this book, and that is that seeing possibility at every phase of life. That's something that I noted, throughout this entire book, seeing possibility at every phase of life. The beginning where you don't have much, but you're pushing through to become what you ended up becoming, and all the way to now, still releasing music and being successful through it. So can you talk to us about possibility, having a vision, seeing it through, that type of thing? Because I saw it repeated, that theme repeated throughout the whole entire book.
Well, originally, I personally saw it. It's like creative visualization. I saw it. When I was born, there were some lights around me. My mother's name was Eleonora, and she went to my grandmother and said, Eleonora, he's a gifted child. He's going to make a way for himself in this world. I think we spoke about that, didn't we, Dave? Yeah. Yeah. Dave really wrote the book. Dave is the editor. And so there was an area in Jersey City called Greeny Hill. And at Greeny Hill, you can see the Isle of Manhattan and all the sparkling lights there and the traffic. And this is Jersey City side. And I used to look over and say, yeah, you're going to know about me. I'm going to make it one day. And just by visualizing, and it came to fruition. What I used to do, I was quite a poet when I was a young boy. You know, I would go to my church and ask the pastor, Church of the Incarnation, and say, Pastor Avery, could I play the piano? And he knew I couldn't play the piano. And no, I couldn't. But I'd go in, he'd say, sure, son, go in and play the piano. And I'd be hacking away at this piano and, you know, making all kinds of sounds, trying to apply my poetry to these errant sounds that I was making. And I'm quite sure he went back to the parish house and said, Lord, bless this child, because each and every time he goes in to play that piano, we got to get it tuned. So that's part of the vision. You know, I found that with each and every member of the original band, we were all, let's say, visionaries. We were all on the same frequency. You know, when we first got together, again, same church, Church of the Incarnation, Jersey City, New Jersey, Episcopalian. Got together and we wanted to jam. And for some odd reason, we talked about Dave Brubeck's Take 5 and Dave Brubeck's Blue Round Down the Turn. Yeah, and we all knew it. And right then and there, we were on the same frequency. We knew it, you know. And show you how young I was. After the jam session, walked down to Mr. Green's candy store, and Khalees, Ronald Bell, said, hey, man, you want to be our drummer? And I'm buying gumdrops, right? I said, sure. And that was it. That was the start of the Jazzbirds. Ricky Westfield, George Brown, Ronald Bell, and Spike Mickens. How could I forget Spike? That's it. Same vision.
You know, through that vision, that belief in creativity, that's another theme that I saw that ran throughout this book, is it's definitely a strong vision. I saw you go through many phases of life. That vision has been maintained throughout your entire life, but your belief in creativity and the times that you've leaned on your creativity. And then something that I noted in the book also was you mentioned an anxiety around creativity. Specifically with regard to the song Ladies Night in the book, you mentioned like trying to get that song out from inside to the outside was just, you know, filled with strife.
When you talk about gut feeling?
Yeah.
So I was at my manager's office on 57th Street, broke, you know, like we all get, broke. And I said, and this is like 1978. Hey, Quest, I see you hiding. Anyway, that's my nephew. So he didn't have any money, the manager, you know, there's no money. So I started walking back to my apartment down in, I forget the area. 23rd Street, Chelsea area. And as I was walking, I just noticed the people, how they gape in their walk. You know, and I said, that gape man, it's so reminiscent of I dig this now as strange, but it's reminiscent of a jazz bass line. You know what I mean? Went doom, 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 doom. I said, man, it's walking just like somebody, like Ron Carter, like Reggie Workman, right? And I'm like, so I said, doom, 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 because they were that was the gate. Got home to my apartment, turned on the keyboards, Fender Rhodes back then. They don't use those anymore. And I said, let me harmonize it. Started harmonizing. And for those of you who know music or don't know music, simple F7 to C minor. Anyway, it was like a 16th notes, tick, 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 the eighth notes. And by the time we got to studio with Yumi Deodato, I don't know if anybody knows Yumi Deodato. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Indeed.
Great producer, great guy, crazy guy. Crazy. Because he'd call you up and act like he was some girl or something. Is George there? Anyway, Dio, get off the phone. Anyway, yeah, really, get off the phone, Call me back. Call me when you got something to speak about. Anyway, we're in the studio, and Ronnie is showing a song called Hanging Out, which was on the Ladies' Night Out. Let's go where the people go. That's where I want to be. Anyway, I'm standing against the wall, full of anxiety, which we all suffer from. Fairly recently, I was suffering from a lot of it. And something said, show the song, man. And I couldn't do it. I just couldn't get my back up off the wall. Right? Get down on it. Couldn't get my back off the wall. Right? Couldn't do it. And I got this tremendous anxiety attack. Like somebody just pushed me like that. And I said, Dio, listen to this. And I'm saying, he's going to think it's dumb, bunch of eighth notes. Ding, 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 ding. I said, check this out. And I started playing. And of course, it changes keys. It goes to like G sharp minor, then B flat minor, then it changes keys again. And he said, Senor, because he's Brazilian. This is just what we were looking for, because he had that 4 on the floor thing. What do you call it? Ladies' night, because Kool's a party guy, loves going out. Said there's ladies' nights in all these clubs, which has been going on for 50, 60, 70 years before we ever came on the scene. Anyway, we called it Ladies' Night. Started getting our writing team together. Bingo. Platinum. Multi-platinum record. So anxiety, your gut. Go with your gut. When people say it's the truth, go with that gut because it's telling you the truth. Do it.
That's wonderful, because so often we will become anxious and run in the opposite direction, of the thing that's making us anxious, So what do you think it is about you personally that makes you run toward that? Even though you might have felt the way you did, what do you think it is about you that makes you continue to push forward?
Let me think about that for a second. You guys got time? Light up cigarettes, have some coffee.
Yeah, because so often, because that's the thing, how to manage fear.
Well, no, I come from a family of people who push to go forward. Mom used to say you can be anything you want. We've all heard that from our mothers and fathers. You can do and be anything that you want. I'm African American. I come from a people who push very hard to make this country what it is and where it's growing. So about me, I'm all of that. Actually, I'm all of you. I'm all of you and your heart's desires and which you're looking to accomplish, young or old. I'm all those things that you feel within yourself, that you feel that you need to be doing or doing. So, I'm an amalgamation of all of you. And in my life, I get nervous if I'm not doing anything. So, but what I am a human being who says, let me move forward, let me do something that's going to take society and entertain society, to give people a respite from the daily pings and pango, slings and arrows of the world, and the pains and sorrows that we all. You take those little good moments and strap them together to your helmet, because you're going to get hit on the head. So you got the good moments there, if you know what I mean. Okay.
I do definitely know exactly what you mean. In fact, that was one of the things I was going to say. There's a saying in the book about a sandwich, a certain type of sandwich that you need a lot of bread for.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A certain
the more bread you got, the less shit you have to eat.
So it's certainly about enjoying the fruits of your labor, but sometimes a little bit of different, something different is served. Do you understand?
Hello, Cola.
Yes, indeed. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to be certain to go through some of the songs, the discography. These are the songs that our brother George Brown has worked on, produced, written, composed. I looked it up, and this is a very impressive number right here. He has, and it's very important to tell you this, 1,036 credits. 1,036 credits. And of course, Kool the Gang has 26 studio albums, 4 live albums, 19 compilation albums, 68 singles. I don't know if that studio album number includes the current 2023 album. It may be 27.
I added them all together and I called it 34.
Okay.
34. 34 because 34 equals 7.
Ah,
and
yes,
the original
yes.
band members were 7.
Okay, it was originalist. Okay, right on. I'm all about that. He giving y'all some science.
Who are those guys? How dare you wear Earth in the shirt too? Stand up and let her.
Blasphemy. Blasphemy. For those that can't see, there's a gentleman with an Earth, Wind, and Fire shirt on in the front.
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Okay, excuses.
No, I believe I have a interview with what's his name?
Ralph?
Maurice.
Okay.
Maurice, his brother.
Verdine.
Yeah. I have an interview with her coming up soon.
Okay.
No, those are our brothers. We work together a lot. No, we love each other. We steal from each other.
I was fortunate enough to interview Ralph Johnson not too long ago. So the drummers have been very good to me, So yeah, Ralph Johnson, he did. I talked with him as well. Let's go through these songs. 1969 with Kool and the Gang. Kool and the Gang. The Gang's back again. Kool's back again. Live at the Sex Machine. Let the Music Take Your Mind. Funky Man. Who's Going to Take the Weight? I Want to Take You Higher. NT Part 1. Love, y'all can clap. Love the Life You Live Part 1. Music is the Message Part 1. Funky Granny. Good Times. Wild and Peaceful. He has Funky Stuff. Jungle Boogie. Hollywood Swinging. We're attributing this to this man. Understand. Light of the World's Summer Madness. Summer Madness and Winter Sadness. On Spirit of the Boogie, he gave us Spirit of the Boogie and Caribbean Festival, Love and Understanding, Hollywood Swinging Live, Summer Madness Live, Universal Sound Live, Universal Sound, that is mine. Open Sesame, Super Band, The Force, Everybody's Dancing, Ladies Night, Too Hot, Celebration, Take My Heart, Get Down on It, Stepping Out, Stand Up and Sing, Let's Go Dancing, Big Fun, Joanna, Straight Ahead, Tonight, Fresh, Misled, Emergency, Cherish, Yes, I'm not done. Forever, on Forever, Victory, Stone Love, Holiday, Special Way, Peacemaker, Raindrops, Never Give Up, Jump on the Rhythm and Ride, Salute to the Ladies. You like the lady songs, don't you? You like the, yeah. Big Things, Dave, Stepping into Love, and then as a solo artist, What If? We Don't Need a Reason, Your Body, Hands Up, My Woman, Honey, She Just Wants, Leave It on the Fire, Gemma, and Everything You Do. Yeah, put your hands together. Put your hands together. Yes, indeed. The soundtrack of our lives.
Thank you.
And as a member of the hip hop generation, I got to say thank you. I know that sampling is a bit of a complicated issue, but I got to tell you, through sampling, there's so much of your music that was given to us through sampling.
Well, yeah, we are the most sampled group in the history of sampling. And because of that, I'm the most sampled drummer in the history of.
Yep, this is true. One more time, the most sampled drummer in history.
So that's the homage from the hip hop community, which we love anyway. You know, they don't know it, but that's R&B.
Yeah.
You know, but we let it be that way. You know, and here's the thing about it, knowing about all those samples, we have like 680 songs that we have put together, and we weren't aware that we were sampled that much. We heard when Madonna first sampled us back in, I don't know, 1918, so we went up and listened. We hear it, but we didn't keep abreast of that. You know why? Because our ears were in tune to that. Not because it's hip hop, because Kool the Gang doesn't have that type of ego. We don't think that way. Just like our brothers, Earth and Fire. There's no ego like that. So. Yeah.
Well, I got to tell you, we played the sampled songs and the original songs. It led us to play the original songs, which I think is even more important, that many of us DJs went and found the original works and played them for people. And we still do. You know, we're very in tune with all the phases of this group. Talk to me about, really quickly, about managing change. Because yours is definitely a hero's journey. There's triumph, there's death, there's triumph, there's death. You know, each project is like that. You know, it's a thing where something is born, something lives, and then you're on to the next look phase, musical phase. You know, musical time or whatever. The changes that come with music, you guys really were able to change with each phase of music. And the band just seemed to morph and grow. How were you so malleable, you know, creatively speaking? Because a lot of groups weren't so malleable. They had difficulty as the years went on.
I had an interview in England about 20 years ago. And the interviewer said to Khalees and myself, said, "You guys got some cojones, because you don't stay in one genre. You write everything, you know, writing country western, whatever." And because of that, the fan base grew. Most artists want to stay in their own niche. We didn't stay in our niche. We wrote funk, rock, hip hop, pop. We've done everything. And when you listen to those albums, you go, wow, you go from one cut, you go, oh, what's this? This is like a Pat Boone, you know. It's true. And by doing so, instead of losing fans, we gain fans. It works just the opposite. So it's just being eclectic.
That would explain it. Just being eclectic, just the group of guys that are eclectic.
We wrote and still write what we feel. We feel like, hey, that'll work. Sounds great. It grooves. You know, people understand it. And if you notice, even if it's every Kool the Gang song is a story. When you sit down, you listen to it. Hey, these are stories, and they're always stories of people moving forward and doing the best for themselves and humanity. That's a key tone that we made sure we put in each and every one of our songs.
Tell me, this is a completely different question. What are you more motivated by, success or lack? Now, of course, the obvious, like when you don't have it, you got to go get it.
Success or lack?
Yeah.
Wow. Now, most people would say success. We're motivated by the acceptance of our projects, our music, by the people around the world who love our music. It's not the money. I tell my wife that all the time, and I tell my sons that, and my brother, Mike, Aaron, Jordan.
Family, stand up. We're going to stand up, family. Raise your hand. Raise your hand, son. Yeah, there you go. There he is.
That's
yeah.
Jordan. That's Jordan.
We're proud. He's proud. Come
my
on.
brother Mike, who's listening to a Dodgers game.
Yeah, there he is.
My son Aaron, who's a brilliant pianist, by the way, concert pianist.
Okay.
And my nephew Quest, there, who's hiding because he's very shy.
Oh, there's another. Okay. Quinta.
Oh, and Quinta.
Hey, Quinta. Hey, how you doing, baby?
That's my niece.
Yeah, so right on. Family's so very important to the mix, and that is motivation enough.
Yeah, family is very important. So the support, big time.
I mean, now outside of family, we've talked about sort of your group. You talked about your family briefly. Another theme I saw in the book was you speak of moments of solitude a number of times. I remember in the book, and you guys are going to read it when you pick it up. I'll just say shopping basket. That's one moment when you were walking with the shopping basket full of drums. And then you don't have to go into it because I want the people to read the book to get some of these stories. But there's other moments that you outline in the book where, you're by yourself, even though you're in a group. You're speaking as a writer of a song or as a composer of something, and you're by yourself in those moments. There's a lot of solitude that I've noticed. Can you talk to us about solitude and the role it played in your creativity and just in your life? Solitude? Yeah, like I noticed that you were spending a lot of time, a lot of internal time. At least that's what I gathered from what I read.
I guess in every creator's life, whatever you create, there's a time, a quiet time, and in that quiet time, that's when the muse hits. The muse hits you, like, whoa, okay. And if you don't act upon it, it keeps hitting you and hitting you to a point where you start putting those little pieces together, and it turns out to be whatever it is that you're creating. That's what happens to me. Even though we're sitting here and I'm cracking jokes and things, I'm very, very solitude. There was, God, I forget the writer. She had an apartment that was a mess. Don't get me wrong, she had a beautiful mansion, but she had an apartment in the city that she just kept all her writings all over the floor. And that's where she would go in my solitude, and write. So in that solitude, in your inner self, that's when the real person, that's when that light being comes out, that being of light, that's when that shows. And that's when you're at your best, when that happens. And if you ever notice albums, like I mentioned Diodato, but let's mention Our Brothers, Earth, Wind, and Fire. If you listen to the album, no, this is sweet and good stuff. And you listen down to what Maurice and those brothers have done, you hear that same theme run through that whole album, that same melodic. It's like a trance. It's like they fell into a trance. And when that trance was when that muse was finished with them, it moved on. And the next album sounded totally different. So it's that beam that hits the light being. We're light beings anyway. So as light beings, we pick that up. That muse comes through us. We get the music or the painting or the book or the movie or the dance. And after that's done, it moves on. So all that more.
Beautiful. Okay. I think we're ready for questions. Is it about that time for questions? Yeah. Okay.
Speak up. Because,
how are we going to do this?
There's a microphone there.
Yeah. So there's a microphone right over here, and we'll just walk on over if you have a question for Mr. Brown. How's everybody doing? Everybody doing okay? Yeah. Okay. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Just tell us your name and ask your question.
My name is David, and
Hey, David.
around 1964, there was a change in the style of music from big band to things like soul and rock and roll. And how did that affect your music? I don't know if you go back that far, and I know you have quite a variety of different styles, but do you relate more to the older styles or the newer styles?
Did you say from 1964 or 54?
What would you say?
54 was the ending of the big band era, because the big band era lasted 12 years. So it'd be 54. But we take the old and new. So if you listen to some of those horn lines, what I mean, that comes from Lucky Milliner and Louis Jordan and those big band folks. And then you put that backbeat to it and some newer harmonics, and you got a new piece of music. So yes, we took from the big band, we took from the bands of New Orleans. I was trying to remember the names, but we took from every genre of music that we could take and mold into something that was Kool the Gang.
Mm-hmm. And I know you said that, well, as far as that you write most of the music yourself, and how much of your music has been used by others, and about how much have you gotten from others?
I couldn't begin to tell you how many people have covered Kool the Gang music. Mm-hmm. It's been unbelievable. Mm-hmm. It's global, and it's global.
How important do you I know that improv is identified with jazz a lot, and do you do a lot of improv?
Well, like hip hop?
Improv.
For improvisation while you perform.
Yeah, I love improvisation. Mm-hmm. A lot of what we when you're soloing, you're improvising. A lot of improvisation. And most of Kool the Gang records, you hear either it's a trumpet or trombone or piano. Soloing is improvisation, or a drum solo. So yes, we love improvisation. And we love mixing it up. Mm-hmm. David, thank you. Bless you.
Thank you, David. You guys are definitely an amalgam of so many sounds. Tell us your name.
My name is Miles Overton. I'm originally from Norfolk, Virginia. I now live here in the DMV area. Okay, Mr. Brown, I have been following you, and I'm a drummer myself. I've been following you since the late 69, early 70s, when you guys were originally jazz, and you were the first group that I remember is doing choreography with jazz. And even I spent hours, and I still use it today when I play some of your best fills. I think your best fills, your fat, funky, in the pocket type grooves, and I think some people that know what I'm talking about. How much say-so did you have in your playing? Because you guys went from jazz, you went from rock, disco, which I think a lot of you hated. I mean, you actually made a change in order to make a living. How hard was that, and how much say-so did you have in your playing?
It wasn't hard at all.
It wasn't.
Because that's what we do. Like I said, we were very eclectic, from jazz to funk to pop to rock and roll. And what made it, when we were playing the clubs back in the 60s, right, we would play behind 5, 6 acts a night, 2, 3, 4 in the morning back home in New York. And you had the Motown sound, the Atlantic sound, the Muscle Shoals sound, the West Coast sound. And when you listen to that Detroit sound, the Detroit orchestra, they were all jazz musicians anyway, all over, except for Muscle Shoals. So if you look at that and those styles of music and us playing behind these different artists, it's like osmosis. We got it. And so when it came to doing our own thing, we had it. So it was fairly easy to happen.
And also, do you still do traditional grip? And what brand kit did you feel comfortable with? Traditional grip, as far as playing.
Grip.
Match or traditional?
I don't understand traditional.
How do you hold the drumsticks?
Oh, both. Match grip and traditional grip. But when you're playing jazz, the traditional grip works better because of the figures that you can play. With rock and roll and hip hop and funk, that's heavy hitting. Heavy hitting. So you need the power of the match grip. You need a spot, instead of playing like a rough with the traditional grip, you can play just a left hand. But no, I played both. I had stopped playing drums. Too many squeaks in here. Lots of oil.
I can hear it.
Yeah, I hear it too. Yeah. So I'd stopped playing and reverted to playing piano only. And I might revert from that to just playing tambourine.
And one more question. Well, I have many questions, but one more. Am I correct to assume that you and Ronald Bell are the original members left?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Myself, Ronnie Bell, myself, Robert Mickens, who wrote Summer Madness.
Trumpeter.
The trumpet player extraordinaire. Freddie Hilbert used to ask about him all the time. Ricky Westfield, who came up with Hollywood Swinging.
Keyboards.
And that comes from Hollywood Frankie Crocker out of disc jockey in New York City. So
the master rocker.
So we the guys is just run into rehearsal and say, I got an idea, and sit down and start playing it, and the rehearsal turns into the new song. So that's what happens. That was the respect we had for each other and still do.
Thank you. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to get my book now.
Thank you.
How you doing? Step on up and tell us your name.
Hey, how you doing? I'm Dan.
Hey, Dan.
And I have, I guess, 2 questions, and I want to thank you for one thing.
Did you say trick questions?
2.
Oh, I think you got trick questions.
I know Diodato got you paid and got y'all from eating oodles and noodles to eating filet mignon. But did you get a lot of pushback from the group members and the Black community as well as Black radio when you crossed over?
A lot. You say people would say, "You sold out." Yeah, we sold out Madison Square Garden, Yankee Stadium, sold out the Ford. Yeah, we sold out.
And I want to thank you because, well, I know I'm telling my age, but back in '75, you were the opening act for Richard Pryor at the Carter Barron.
Absolutely.
And I had to kind of half lie to my parents to get to the show and say that Kool the Gang was doing the whole show.
Yeah, that the Richard was something else. You know, that's when he was using certain words, and I think he used those certain words, and they took him off stage. Yeah, those are fun times, great times.
And I was listening to one of your songs. I forgot. I think it may have been like Wild and Peaceful. Was it like the symbols that were used?
Oh yeah, we use I love Zildjian symbols, the Turkish symbols. You get a Zildjian symbol, it might be 200 years old, and it just says that she, you know. So, and if you listen to all the great jazz drummers, my idol Elvin Jones, you hear that, yeah, you know, when he's playing behind Train, you know, he raises that intensity behind John. Man, that Zildjian just, it doesn't overshadow, it doesn't make big splashes. It just stays right there with you. With the bing, ding, 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 you know. And the same thing with the crash. Psh, nice clean crash, all that good stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Love to you.
How about you, sir?
How you doing? My name is Marty. Mr. Brown, first of all, thank you for the music. I was in junior high and high school when you released Love the Life You Live, Who's Gonna Take the Weight, funky stuff. So I've been listening to you for a long time. And about 2 years ago, I discovered a song that I did not know you all had done. I remember John W. Coltrane. Thank you. Yeah. I just want to ask one question, follow up to the other gentleman. For me, because I grew up with the old stuff, there was a shift once you got to Summer Madness. So I'm kind of partial to everything, you know, before Summer Madness, and then you went in the other direction. Can you talk more about the change in your music at that time?
Well, I got 2 stories for you. Where'd you get these pillows from? The store. Who's going to take the weight?
This is in the book, so I don't, you know.
It's in the book.
It's in the book. So
I'll
tell
leave
another
that
one.
alone. So, thank you.
Yeah, you gotta protect your. You know.
See that?
Yeah.
You gotta have help. That's the truth. The shift from Summer Madness, you know, Summer Madness was a B-side. We had Spirit of the Boogie, which was going up the charts and doing quite well. One summer, a DJ in Chicago flipped it over and the phones lit up. And that was it. Classic to this very day. You know, Miles Davis, first Rocky movie, Fresh Prince, goes on and on. So many covers, and primarily some films, but you know, which really spiked the song and brought the awareness to a whole nother level. The change from then, I think, and as a matter of fact, I believe that album, we got best production on that album, production-wise. I think what we found was a mellower way of doing things, because you started hearing the Fender Rhodes toned down. You started hearing maybe not less guitar, but the guitar being a little more, again, mellow. You heard growth. Because Summer Madness started out in the studio, getting together and working the music out, because it was Winter Sadness, Summer Madness. And but once you hear this, the band's growth, after we did that, and we seen and heard what people loved, so we kind of changed the way we were composing a little because of that. I hope that answers the question.
It did. It did. Thank you.
You're welcome. Incidentally, he's gone. One of our original trumpet players after Spike, Mike Ray, you could be his brother, man.
Oh, really?
Okay, Mike.
Thank you.
How are you, sister?
Hi, my name is Elisa. I'm going to take you to television. What did you think the first time you saw Soul Train, and what was your first experience on Soul? I'm assuming you guys were on Soul Train.
Mr. Brown, before you delve all the way into that,
Well,
to add to that, did you guys actually play live on Soul Train? Because very few bands did. So go on.
We played live.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, okay, yeah, one time for that. Only James Brown, Barry White, Marvin Gaye. It's only a handful, less than 5, that actually played live on Soul Train.
We played live. There were others too.
Well, it was a very small number of people because they typically lip sync on that show, right? Typically they lip sync on Soul Train.
That's why you see no cables.
Yeah. Things aren't plugged up. Now, I'm sorry.
No, we had to play live, or we weren't playing at all.
That's right.
And my second question is, what was you probably have a million memorable, what was your most fun music festival that you ever played?
Oh, the most fun music festival. Wow. Let me answer that first. That's a hard one because, we've done like maybe 10,000 music festivals. The most fun, maybe when we were playing Too Hot. I think we were in Houston, Texas. And as soon as we started playing Too Hot, I don't know if you call this fun or not, but the piano caught on fire.
Life imitates art.
Yeah, there you go. It's a true story. Life on the road, ladies and gentlemen.
How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm David also. It's a
Love
theme.
your voice. You do radio?
No,
Wow.
but I'm a DC native, so I love the sound. And I loved hearing you talk about the influences and also your inspiration for writing. If there's not something from the book, can you give us any other stories about the inspiration for a particular song or how all that comes together, what that process is like?
Repeat that again, different places.
About the way your songs come to you and how I love that one story you told us about Ladies' Night.
The book is full of those, by the way. Just a lot of those types of stories. So just so you know.
Wow. Since I was an infant, I'm an insomniac now, so I don't sleep. Where everybody's sleeping and I'm awake. I'm watching over all of you. Anyway, music starts. It just starts. It used to start with like the Vienna choir, boy, with the tone. And the next thing you know, it'll break out into this orchestra. It sounds strange, put him in a hospital. But yeah, and it would keep me awake. And my mother used to say, wow, you're a child, what are you doing? Bags under eyes. Because I was awake all night listening to this music in my head. And at a certain point, I was able to manipulate it. So I'd have the strings do what I want them to do, and the violas and French horns and the like, play those melodies and rhythms that I felt they should be playing, not what they feel they should be playing in my head. So as time went on, like recently, I'll wake my wife up in the middle of the night. Am I correct, honey? And say, there's a song coming through, and it's talking about the way I talk to you. So I get the lyrics and the melody at the same time. It's about the way I talk to, the way I come to you, that stuff like that. The melody comes, but from the melody I can transpose and get the harmony. But that's what happens, still happens. It's a blessing and a curse because you can't sleep.
It seems like the energy is quieter at night, you know, and those things can kind of come through. It feels like for me, late at night, it feels like the vibrations are sort of quieter, and things like creative notions or inspiration can come through a little bit easier at night for me. That's my personal experience.
Well, night is that time anyway. Night frequencies are different than day frequencies.
Absolutely.
You know, like even if you're in pain, right, it seems to hurt more at night.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, creativity comes from the darkness, typically, is what they say, right? It's from the darkness or the night, you know, the right side of the brain, that type of thing. You know, darkness is where creativity springs forth from. So it makes perfect sense, but it doesn't make for great sleeping habits. But it makes for great music, that's for certain. Put your hands together for George Brown, y'all.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you all. Love you.
Alan, do you have some direction for us?